That road, I went up there a few days ago with my motorcycle. First vlog I filmed right here was with my motorhome only. When I checked this place out more than a month ago. But now I'm with the bicycle. So today is the 24th of August, 2021. I'm preparing soon to leave on my motorcycle trip. Kind of an anniversary of almost exactly 20 years ago when I rode from the National Capital Region to Vancouver Island to the unknown, not knowing anybody or have a place to stay or a job waiting for me or anything. And that was quite a life change that I survived and became much more resilient from when it comes to the toolkit tools, for me to kind of manage a life or manage a resilient brain or endure hardships, but also know more about myself and what makes me happy and what I'll do and what I won't do for the sake of, belonging to a society that is, I discovered, increasingly more unhealthy. And it's not just in Canada. I've traveled to confirm this is other places. So I'm pacing myself. I'm glad I got back on modafinil. This is giving me a sense of security about my trip and starting, my daily motorcycle rides to cross Canada, going east this time. Slightly different route. And do a good job with the alertness and the regular sleeping patterns that the medicine gives me. And again, I believe this medicine is required not necessarily because I was born a particular way, but because I was born in a society that numbed my brain over time, right? And sometimes it was previous medicines I didn't need, but it was mostly through, forceful domestication, a lack of encouraging of pursuing my creative, abilities that kind of grows the mind, right? So it became less and less efficient because as a social creature, I needed to somewhat adapt and belong, which is true, but also not true. I mean, there's a way that you can develop skill sets where, your life is not particularly much easier than the norm, but it's a way that you can retain your humanity with these skill sets without succumbing to what is so easy for social creatures with social needs to succumb to. So this is just a little psychohistory of me these days, and I'm noticing that I'm employing different strategies to pace myself. There's some fights I'm deciding not to fight, like my last meeting with the Columbia Basin Trust yesterday. I already knew going in, don't need to prepare much. I knew that weeks before. Just get it done, get the last meeting done to follow up my own file project in culture repair. And like leaving many places, it's more about the attempt to create a butterfly effect that may or may not work or succeed with people that are in authority when I'm not there to directly, let's say, recommend or work on culture repair projects, which is not even possible in Canada or most countries of the world. They don't see this as a role in society, right? They talk about problems, they don't understand the concept of what a culture repair would be like, what their skill sets are, what they can bring to the table, not just in a theoretical way, but in a practical way. The life skills coach training helped me a lot with developing the skill sets for the practical side of things in culture repair. The campground, right here, it's I remember talking to a PhD recipient in my master's degree when I said that I think that the concept of tragedy of the commons, what happens when somebody wants a little bit more than their neighbor in a stable kind of system, ecological and social, and then the system crashes. Well, at BC Parks here, I'm seeing a lot of favoritism after all the staff is connected to the people that are kind of encroaching in my space. But they're kind of nice and fairly quiet and respectful, and I like their little dog, and it came to introduce himself by barking a little bit, thinking I was in I was in their space or something. But then he didn't want to leave me. He was too happy to meet me. And but you know, when the staff comes and one of the kids comes and gives him a hug, you know that that's not strangers, right? There is favoritism, and these are not reservable spots. But people see how far they can get away with stuff with anybody, including Martin. And usually I fight and I defend what is right, but it's not worth it right now because I'm preparing for my trip, but also the people aren't too bad. And just moving to a different spot might not guarantee a better experience. So this is me right now. I'm happy with my experience before leaving, like with how my mind is and how my body is and my planning, except that there's a lot of unknowns that haven't been solved or researched yet, and that also depend on the responses of others. But I'm in a Zen mode about this. I'm not trying to manipulate or control everything. And, you know, even to minimize my stresses, I would leave with maybe not the best place to leave my motorhome. Well, I'll leave with the bike, and maybe it'll have damage and it has insurance, but I've documented how I've tried to be able to afford or create win-win scenarios with places where I could have less worries about my motorhome. But for that, you know, people need to have community values. They have to be able to know how to partake in the creation of win-win scenarios. And when everybody's surviving one day at a time again in dysfunctional societies, is they don't learn these skills. They don't know how to recognize them. They're already having feelings that are inaccurate, interacting with somebody that's trying to have a conversation about win-win scenarios. So yeah, guys, that's my day. It's a beautiful place. In the morning, I guess there's less people. And the ride up there was quite risky, although, you know, in French we call it laveuse, in English washboard, on the road, and it wasn't great for my motorcycle, which has kind of stiffer shocks that I didn't want to adjust, but and also the tires are street tires. But there's many places where there's a fall. Some place I would say the fall is at least 20 stories, and it's pretty much straight down. And if it's not straight down, it's worse because you're hitting rocks before the water. And this could be a cyclist losing control in a curve, or being startled by an animal or another vehicle, because it's hard to hear them coming if you're going fast as even experienced mountain biker or cyclist. And it could just be somebody enjoying the view, or it could be somebody on a motorcycle that's done it many times that is surprised by washboards or avoiding it and missing something that makes them swerve and they go the wrong way, losing control. And any of these falls, I've seen many places where if somebody falls here, there's no barriers at all. Yeah, nobody survives this. You can be in a car, a truck, on a bike, you can have a helmet, doesn't make a difference. You don't survive this. So please be careful, people, when you do this. I went a good 20 kilometers and reached an area called Deer Park that has a little bit of pavement, and went a little bit further and then turned around. And there was a dog that came to me, surprised me at that area, Deer Park, but he seemed like he would have been friendly if I kind of stopped and let him come close to me and smell me. So I was hoping to see him on the turnaround, but he wasn't there. So that's it, folks. Enjoy your summer. I'm trying to bring some joy in my life. I'll do another vlog where I'm reading the last 4 entries of my diary, which mentions the concept of joy in my life.